Okay, so took one of the wheels off and I just now cleaned up some of the slag. The slag is the byproduct that you get from oxidation of metal when welding. I left it on there because I didn't want it to rust. Finally cleaned it up, and then the original weld that I did on there was a butt weld, basically putting two pieces of metal together and then you weld them on the seam. In order to make this stronger, I'm going to end up doing a lap weld by using this is a 3/4 inch galvanized steel nipple that you would use for threading pipe together. This is actually going to make a really nice collar. So what I'm going to end up doing is you slide this on there, slide that over where it was welded, and then you weld it on both sides of this nipple, on that side and that side. It's called a lap weld. It'll be tremendously stronger than just a butt weld alone, plus I have the butt weld underneath that. So two different types of weld. It'll provide superior strength, and it'll make sure that this axle doesn't fall off while cruising down the road once it's DOT approved. So I'm gonna get this set up, hook the welder up, and then we'll get this thing connected. Got the welder turned on, the coupler's in place, about to weld this real quick, and then we'll see how well it went. Here we go. Okay, so I just got done cleaning up the right side of the collar. I got good penetration all the way through on my weld. And of course that sun isn't helping out. I'm sorry if you can't really see that well, but there we go. Put my hand over the camera. So it's a clean weld. I cleaned off all the slag. So now that right side of the collar is completely welded on there. So now I'm going to hook up the welder and then weld on this side over here. And yes, I'm still wearing my glove because this thing is still extremely hot. So I will weld where that gap is, and then our left side of our axle will be one solid piece. And we'll do a brake test on it just to make sure, that way it's 100% safe. So I'll get the welder reset back up, put the ground connection, this deal right here on this side, and then try to weld in this narrow space over here. Okay, so I just finished welding the inside portion. I did a much better welding job. Kind of moved slightly slower than what I would want, but at least the welds look like they're stacking going across there. Got good penetration due to the discoloring on both sides, so that's good. So now I need to take off this negative electrode, clean that off, and this side should be done. So one axle completely done. Okay, if I can hold the camera steady. So I got the other side cleaned off. Still needs to cool down just a smidge, but it is safe to put the axle on. So what we will do is we will slip that on there. And now we have our deal on there. So now we need to fix this messy side over here. So need to take this off using a 24 metric. Already took the cotter pin out, slipped that on. There we go. Just like that. And there we go. Got that one off. Clean this up. put the collar on, weld it. Okay, we got the axle all grinded down. I have the coupler on there, so now for axle number 2, second collar. Okay, so I got the second axle started with the coupler that I was welding on right there. Well, let me rephrase it. I don't have a problem, however, I do have a minor concern. This section right here that I just welded, I'm going to clean that up, and then I need to weld this side. The only problem is I can't put my negative electrode right here because it'll be too close. So I'll have to clean this up and then make sure it's properly grounded right below my finger here. I don't want to put the negative electrode on this. This is actually the spline section of the axle that the hub attaches to. If I put the ground on here, then I could technically damage this thing and then the hub wouldn't want to go back on. So I'm going to have to clean this section up, ground it on this small section between here and here, and then weld this section over here. But other than that, everything's going great. Clean this up, get it done. So I officially finished welding the axles as well as the collars on both sides. I still need to clean up this collar, but I just wanted to double check something real quick. So I put tape on the outside of the tires, and that one still can be moved just a smidge. But I wanted to measure to make sure that I have the width that I want, and putting the measuring tape roughly on that line right there, going to the inside, gives me about 23¼ inch, which is great because the record is actually for 25 inches wide on the car. So obviously we're in really good shape. We have the width of our tiny car vehicle where it needs to be. Needed to be less than 25. We're at 23¼ right now. And then of course these tires are considerably wider than what the car tires that I'll be using for this will be, so hopefully we'll still maintain roughly where we're at, if not stay under the 25-inch range for the tiny cars. So the dimensions of the car is 25¾ inches wide by 25 inches tall. Obviously we're sitting taller than 25 inches, so a lot of this stuff on top will have to go. And then it needs to be less than 49 inches long. And right now, let's see, it is currently 26 in the back. In the front it's definitely over that. It's probably 30 in the front. We are 33 in the front, so we need to cut down some considerable height. And then as far as the length that we're shooting for with the grill on the front, we're at 53 or 54 inches, so we'll need to cut this down, get rid of all this stuff, and then also do a new front end on it because we're going hot rod style with this. We're not going to do the classic upper and lower control arm on this deal. So yeah, overall where we're at, we're in great shape underneath the width. So step 1 is complete. We're going to start with step 2, which is cut down on the height. I'm going to tear off this body once more. I already cut it here because we're not going to use this plastic and it's all in the way. So yeah, step 1 is done. Appreciate you watching.